Hi, my name is Grace O'Malley, and this is my major assignment 3 multicultural theme text set. My essential question that I focused on this semester was what strategies can be used to make multicultural literature present in a preschooler's daily classroom routine. The texts that I selected were Bibimbap by Linda Sue Park, published in 2008, A Morning with Grandpa by Sylvia Liu, published in 2016, and Dreaming Up, A Celebration of Building by Christy Hale, published in 2012, and all three of these texts are considered children's fiction. Book 1 is Bibimbap, and it is about a young girl and her mother who decide to make a traditional Korean meal called Bibimbap. They go to the market and they collect all of the supplies they need to cook dinner for their family. The little girl is excited to spend time with her mom and to make a meal for her mom, dad, and grandparents. Book 2 is called A Morning with Grandpa and is about a young girl named Mei Mei who one morning discovers her grandfather outside practicing Tai Chi. Mei Mei is very excited to join him, and when she sees him do his Tai Chi, it reminds her of karate, which Grandpa explains is a lot different since it's quicker movements. After she learns a little bit about Tai Chi, she shows him something that she learned in school, which was yoga poses. Book 3 is called Dreaming Up, A Celebration of Building, and this book is filled with real pictures of different famous architecture, such as Falling Water by Frank Lloyd Wright, and on the other page next to it shows children of various cultures building those structures with a variety of building tools, such as wooden blocks, cardboard blocks, and letter blocks. The context of my project was the grade level I'm focusing on is preschool age students aged 3 to 4, and this text set is going to be used in my classroom, which is multi-age with 15 students, and all of these students identify as white. The reading of these texts are going to take place during the first full week of school, where I introduce our centers, and all of these stories were chosen because they do pertain to one of the centers that I have open at all times in my classroom. The goals of the instruction, again, is to introduce my students to our daily routine and our centers using a multicultural text approach. I usually pick a book, that goes along with the centers, but it's not necessarily multicultural. But after taking this class, I thought it would be a good idea. The text will expose the children to different cultures in a contemporary setting, which will allow them to easily relate to the text and the activity they learned to do in school. And hopefully the goal of this is that the students will learn about different cultures and they will feel included, especially because it is their first year of school and attending their preschool for the first time. The rationale for the theme text is I chose these texts because they focus in on my essential question, what strategies can be used to make multicultural literature present in a preschool daily classroom routine. I wanted to pick these texts because they do focus on our whole day, which is revolved around play and going to our 7 centers. And these texts are great strategies to use because the students can relate to them since they are contemporary and they are based in present day. For Bibimbap, before reading, we are going to have a discussion about our favorite foods. We'll write them down on an anchor chart, and then we will break them into categories. During the reading, we will stop and look at the pictures, identify the different foods that we see, and then refer to our anchor chart to see if anyone named anything that shows up in the book. After reading, we'll talk about the similarities and differences of the foods that we eat at dinner with our family and our dinner routine, and then we're going to break into small groups, and I'm going to allow the children to make their own meal on a paper plate using different collage materials. For A Morning with Grandpa, the timeline for that text is before morning, before reading, we are going to talk about different activities that we like to do outside. This activity will be introduced before we go on our playground for the first time. Then we're going to make a prediction of what activity Grandpa and Mei Mei are going to be doing by looking at just the cover. Then during reading, we are going to discuss the class, if anyone's ever tried yoga or Tai Chi, and then we are going to have a discussion about the different gross motor activities we like to do with our family members that maybe we can use in school. And then after, we're going to participate in a yoga lesson, and we're going to use some of the yoga poses that Mei taught Gong Gong in the class, in the book, because yoga is something that I like to practice with my students on a weekly basis. For Dreaming Up, a celebration of building, this is going to help me introduce our block centers, which I'll let the children go and explore the block center for about 10 minutes. And then we're going to come back to the carpet and we'll discuss what they did during that time. During the reading of the book, we're going to look at the different architecture, and I want the students to realize that these are real structures that are around the world, and we can talk about a map and where these are located. And then after reading, I'm going to split the students into groups, and I'm going to give them an option of 2 different structures to try and build with the different building manipulatives we have in our class. There's 5 interdisciplinary connections, which the first 3 are geography, languages, and math. For geography, we can use a map to locate Korea and talk about the different foods that we learned about in bibimbap that are different from our culture. And then we can also locate the different structures from the Dreaming Up picture book about the different architecture that we learned about. Languages, the students are going to be introduced to different words, specifically from the Korean and Chinese language. For the Korean language, bibimbap, which is an actual real thing that you can now buy at Trader Joe's, I saw the other day. And then the Chinese language, which is Gong Gong, which refers to a grandfather, and Tai Chi. And then for math, students need to engage in building something together, and they need to use spatial recognition and different problem-solving skills. For the next 2, art and physical education, we're going to use art when we create our own food on a paper plate after reading bibimbap. And then for physical education, we're going to be doing yoga, just like the characters in A Morning with Grandpa. As a result of creating the text set project, I learned that there are so many fun multicultural texts that students can relate to that do help introduce my centers in my classroom. I'm so excited to try this year. It's my first year teaching preschool, although I did use a centers approach when I taught self-contained special ed education for elementary students. So we did kind of a similar thing. So I did learn that there was a lot of different options when it came to multicultural text that had to do with my centers and play. What I liked about creating the text set project was I got to really research and look at different text, and I already have my first week lessons planned with a little spin of multiculturalism, which is awesome because that's what this whole summer has been focused on. What I found challenging about creating the text set project was researching the books, because there does seem to be a lot of contemporary texts out there that went along with my centers, and just taking the time to read them and to pick different texts that will be easy to use starting the school year, since many of our students are coming from not having much structure in the summer, and I wanted to choose texts that were simplified and easy to understand, yet they got the point across, and they introduced students to not only multiculturalism, but they also introduced them to our classroom routine, and that's how I can implement the different strategies of my classroom through my multicultural texts with my preschoolers. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my project and that you learned something from it. These are my references for the 3 texts that I've used. Thank you.